One set.
Camera rolling.
Sound.
The good, the bad, and the just plain standard. Take one.
Welcome back to The Good, the Bad, and the Just Plain Standard podcast, where we provide you with our informed opinions on movies we watched together. We are your hosts,
Adam.
Anouk.
And Jan. Today is all about Atomic Blonde.
Starring.
Charlize Theron. James McAvoy. Both with English accents.
Well, she's got multiple accents in this one, eh?
Right, but I think, I haven't heard her, but I think she's, I'm guessing, a South African accent, usually. Anyway, Eddie Marsan. Is it Marsan?
Yeah, it is.
John Goodman, one of my favourite actors. Toby Jones, another one of my favourite actors. The beautiful Sofia Boutella.
Yes, French Algerian.
This kind of sex appeal with the cheeky thing going on. I like it.
And last but not least,
Bill Skarsgård, of course.
Yes, so let's play a little game. Who's your first Skarsgård?
So, until recently, I thought it was Alexander Skarsgård because I love True Blood, and that might make me sound like a really silly kind of teenage girl, but
you suddenly realize that you've seen him in Will Hunting before.
yeah, so that would be
his
The
father.
Yes.
Stellan
Yes.
Skarsgård.
It's like my one for that was I still do. I like Ed Begley, who is the last thing I saw him in was the Ghostbusters reboot. He was like owner of like a haunted house, but he's most famous for right now is he's in Better Call Saul, which is in now.
Oh,
his father, he's
yeah.
Ed Begley Jr., but Ed Begley's father is one of the jurors in 12 Angry Men, which is a phenomenal film.
Yes,
I believe he's juror number 8. He's either 8 or 3. I will have to correct that in the next podcast when I look it up, what he is. But he's fantastic in that.
You'll hear some ice from time to time because today we're just celebrating. We've been to see Atomic Blonde and also play.
This is the last time we're recording in the current venue that we are.
Oh,
we're moving venues, so we're having a drink
from that venue. Yeah.
to send off our first place for recording podcasts. So.
Bailey's on ice.
Yeah.
I have wine in a mug.
Just because I packed all the glasses.
Which is our disbanded name for our production company. So this film is basically about a undercover agent, MI6 agent, who is sent during the Cold War to Berlin to kind of get back a list that's been, the so-called list, that's been leaked by someone and is being possibly sold to the Americans or the Russians or the Brits or Cold War.
It gets confusing rather quickly.
Gets a little bit confusing.
It's like a free-for-all for this watch that has the list in it, basically.
Exactly.
And whoever finds it first is going to have some superior advantage in the Cold War.
Yeah, right.
So it's a good old spy thriller.
It's a McGuffin movie. You know what that is?
Yes, I do know about the McGuffin.
Can explain I have a guest to explain what McGuffin is. Because we were not told last year what the McGuffin was, but I've been listening to reviews in the month leading up to this podcast. I've been listening to stuff, and from time to time I would hear there's a McGuffin and stuff. And so here is the guest explaining what it is.
A McGuffin you see in most films about spies. It is the thing that the spies are after. In the days of Rudyard Kipling, it would be the plans of the fort on the Khyber Pass. Mm-hmm. It would be the plans of an airplane engine and the plans of an atom bomb, anything you like. It's always called the thing that the characters on the screen worry about, but the audience don't care. Mm-hmm. And someone asked, what is a McGuffin? And it's described in a scene in an English train going to Scotland, and one man says to the other opposite him, he said, what's that package above your head there? And the other man said, that's a McGuffin. He said, well, what is a McGuffin? He said, well, it's an apparatus for trapping lions in the Scottish Highlands. Man said, but there are no lions in the Scottish Highlands. He said, then that's no McGuffin.
Thank you for clearing that up for us.
Yes.
And you adopted that word as the thing, the letters,
It's
the
a
plans.
thing that the spies are always after.
You've got to be careful for those Scottish lions, man. They're deadly up north. I quite like the idea that Scottish lions was like, it should be the new version of telling people that aren't from Scottish about the haggis. You know, that the haggis turns tartan when it's hiding to stay away from English people that might want to kill it for reasons unknown.
Yeah, I honestly believed that when I came up here. I'm really embarrassed to tell you guys. That's a confession from me.
That was our friend, obviously, Alfred
Yes.
Hitchcock. Yeah.
Oh, just beautiful. That's well described. The man's perfectly right. And I didn't realise that this was a McGuffin movie until he started talking. I was like, yeah, this
Codename The List.
Exactly.
This totally was a McGuffin movie.
And it's all very subtle, and I don't really know if it was subtle because it was good or if it was bad. If that makes any sense. Like, is it because, I was making a mistake in understanding? But I feel like nothing was really explained enough. It was a little bit bland. It was a little bit on the surface. Maybe I'm getting a bit too deep too quickly.
Maybe we should go back to the very beginning.
The dinosaurs.
Kind of like the dinosaurs.
Before films were
ever made. Well, Georges Lumiere decided one day that he's had enough of just looking at normal pictures. He wanted to make others. Or as somebody we all mutually know used to call him, George Méliès.
Yeah, because it was Louis Lumiere, I think, and George Méliès.
No, what I mean is the advertising for this movie. I don't know if I've been to the cinema this year after the date of March and I have not seen a trailer for this movie.
Oh, yes.
Every time went to see a movie, you were guaranteed to hear the start of some, was it Depeche Mode? The do 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 do, that one.
I think it was a remix maybe of a Depeche Mode.
It might be that or Joy Division. It's definitely like that sort of music. And you know the one.
It's very German.
You know the one I'm singing from this here and that. Like, oh yeah, that one. But I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, that trailer was on every time I went to the cinema. And the trailer looked kind of, it looked okay. But
it was a bit trashy, though.
It was a bit standard trailerish because this is the time of year that films come out that don't know where else to come out in the year. August is always like that. Like the end of August, before we start gearing up for films that are maybe getting an international showing because of film festivals, or the films that come out for Oscar season. These ones start to come out of the woodwork, all the horror films, and then we move into Oscar season. The end of August is absolutely films that don't know where to put themselves in the calendar. And I get why Atomic Blonde came out now, because I don't know where else this year. Because there have been a lot of films this year this movie would have had to fight against. There's been big films that have come out this year.
Well, I would say good for her, because it's kind of it's completely a Charlize Theron vehicle. And she's a lead, she's a producer. Actually,
you're not an executive producer as well?
No, producer. Well, I'm not sure. I actually, thanks for talking about that, because thanks to Raindance, once again, I got to understand what was the difference between all those kinds of producers.
Right.
So you've got the producer who supervises the whole thing, and you've got the executive producer, or sirs, who sign checks. The co-producer brings talent. So let's say you have a project and I happen to have in my friends Al Pacino. I bring Al to your movie. Now I'm automatically a co-producer. Associate producers, the same thing but for money. So if I bring money to your, I become an associate. Yeah.
So is that why quite a lot of people become, actors become associate producers very quickly if the series does well, for example, because then they, from the money that they get from doing well in the series, they can then bring it back into...
Well, there is also the control thingy, so you have more control.
That's funny, because on Indiegogo and Kickstarter nowadays, they're like, oh, if you pay this much money, it's usually like the top credit. It's like, you can be a producer in the movie, when it should technically be an associate producer in that case. So,
a few times you have the definite distinction. Like if you give 5,000, you're an associate producer, co-producer. If you just 1,000, it depends really.
I just checked, she just produced it.
Okay.
Okay.
A lot of people do that to give the movie more kudos.
I mean, yeah, really
It
good
works
for her.
good for a poster. You know?
When was the first movie you saw her in? Do you remember that?
No.
Oh, Jesus.
Shall we look up her look at her filmography?
I remember because it's in one of my favorite movies of 1996. She was in That Thing You Do, which is the directorial debut of Tom Hanks.
Okay.
And
yeah.
she has almost just an extra thingy. So it's just have.
Oh.
She has a small part. Tina, I think, was at. This one.
Oh my God! Her first movie was Children of the Corn 3, Urban Harvest.
Oh, wasn't that with the guy who made Highlander the series?
James.
Adrian Paul.
Yeah.
There's
Maybe.
Adrian Paul in there, right?
Somewhere.
think-
It was. She was uncredited, and it was direct to video. That one.
Okay.
Let me have a look. See where I recognise her from.
I think it might have been the Italian Job, you know.
Oh, she was good in Monster for me. You know that the guy that later did what's it called? Godzilla. His first movie, which is basically people being. It's a family drama while there's monsters in the world.
Oh,
She's in that.
yeah.
That's the first thing I'd seen.
Is that Monster, right?
Monster, yeah.
Yeah.
That was
That's
the first one.
apparently also the first film that she produced as
Huh,
well.
that worked out for her. That worked out very well.
So that's kind of where. But the same year, I think the Italian Job was when the first time that I saw her. So that's 2003. So that's,
Men of
13,
Honor.
15 years ago.
Is that the diving movie, Men of Honor? Yeah, it is, the diving. Have you seen that one? It's Cuban Jr. and Robert De Niro.
Yeah, she's the drunk wife in the
Oh,
bar.
so she is!
Yes.
We've got to review Men of Honor, especially a view for a Navy man.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
It's the story of Cuban Jr. becoming
Gooding.
the first... I keep forgetting his name. Becoming the first black master diver in the US Navy.
No, I haven't. No.
It's a very good film. We will watch it one day in Jan's honour.
Okay, so
Back to Atomic Blonde.
anyway, so the Italian Job is where I saw her first. So obviously based in Berlin in the Cold War, so there's a lot of kind of East Berlin vs West Berlin. Obviously the wall is still up.
Did we mention that the Cold War was happening in the plot summary?
Yes.
Oh, I must have zoned. Sorry, I zoned out.
So for some gritty history background, me and Adam, because we're kind of dating, don't know if.
That's just lost us so many female listeners, you know.
So sorry, Adam. So
Damn, I
sorry.
was looking forward to conventions. God damn it, Anouk. God damn.
So sorry.
Yeah, and I'm just holding the candle. If you say, yeah, that's how you say it also in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah,
Candle, third wheel, Jesus.
third wheel.
Third
Third
wheel.
wheel is another good one. No, never at all.
Because my mum actually lives in Berlin now.
We mentioned that on Victoria, because we mentioned your mum lives in Berlin.
Yes.
Yeah,
so,
that's also the link with this movie, Berlin.
Yeah, Berlin, yes.
There you go.
Go
So
on,
we
sorry,
went to
cut you off there.
visit. Sorry, we went to visit Berlin, and we went to the Palace of Tears Museum, which is a pretty nondescript building near Friedrichstrasse. If you ever want to go.
Highly recommend going to
Highly
Berlin.
recommended because it is actually the place where East Berliners and West Berliners could actually meet. If, for example, family members were torn apart because of the wall. And it actually gives you a lot more of kind of the personal stories of like the kind of control station of the DDR, the government.
Yeah.
Basically, that was kind of horrible stuff.
What side was the Palace of Tears on?
West.
Yes, that's right.
So in the, I don't want to say this, but it was in the more prosperous part of Berlin
It was in
at the time.
the freer part of. It was in the non-communist part of Berlin.
Right. So yes, freer and a lot of people would say that a much better place to live in.
Yeah, there were less.
And
rules, really.
the nice thing is the entrance is free. So
It's a beautiful museum. It's well worth doing. It's up there. It's in my top 5 things to do in Berlin. It's very educational. It's very enjoyable because it's a part of history that you will never really hear about this building because it's a strange place because you can walk through these little interrogation boxes that you would have to do to get in and out. And it would be easier to travel from west to east than it would be to travel east to west.
Because obviously communism and the Russians were a lot more strict, and honestly, they probably didn't want the East Berliners to see what the West Berliners were living like.
It's a shame
You
that they
know?
only use about 4 seconds of the Palace of Tears in this movie. I counted, it's 4 seconds. She walks in a building, and then they cut to the actual train station that's there, you can walk into. Nowadays.
I mean, that's what it would have been in... this
very
is
true.
1961 to 1989, so that's a long time for people to be living in fear and separation and desperation and a different life. And so, I mean, this is a really tough time for Berlin, and Germany's history is insane because it's just gone through so much, excuse my French, shit, because of the two world wars that, you could argue that Germany might have started a little bit. But obviously, Germany is what,
Germany's had a rough time in the 20th century.
Right, and think about how many people are actually in Germany. Like, not all of them were, Nazis.
Here's the thing for me, because I knew all this before going in, the film had context. I don't think in the film you get any context of how bad the Cold War is. I think that's left at the wayside, and it's a shame because apart from the fact that they travel from east to west and trying to get somebody out of the east to the west, there's no real reason why this couldn't have been anywhere in the world.
No.
A Cold War spy movie is good, but they do not use the Cold War aspect enough.
Actually, they made East Berlin look amazing.
Yeah, they didn't
Right.
really show the difference at all.
They had the whole... there was a difference. There was, it was a lot more commercial, it seemed. There was a lot more money in West Berlin. It seemed a little bit more free. East Berlin was full of, underground, grungy, young people who wanted to smash the system, and it was a lot more, anti-capitalism and anti-establishment and all this kind of stuff. But because it was always a party and it was full of colour and it was full of graffiti and self-expression, you kind of lost the fact that this was a really tough time for people.
Agreed.
And if you ever wanted to see what it actually was like, not fully, but if you wanted to, actually even go to Berlin and see the differences even now between West and East.
You can talk to people off the street. That's the one thing about Germany and history. They are very willing to talk about their history, and they embrace it for all the bad things that's happened because of Germany. It has not defined them as a nation, which I think is amazing.
Whereas America and Britain have decided to shy away from their
we hide away from all
shortcomings. Let's say it's a horrible way to say it because
France run away from theirs. Hey.
Quoi? This is first.
So again, it's Hollywoodized. It's a little. I don't.
It's Anouk's favourite phrase. Hollywoodize.
Do you know what? I think it's a really important word.
Can we get that on a T-shirt?
Hollywoodized.
Oh yes, as a merch. Available very soon on our website.
I'm so up for that. Have
We'll
you
see.
been
We'll
Hollywoodized?
see how these go. Maybe one day.
Hollywoodized. No, I just mean that there's a little bit of entertainment, but actually the trashy side of that they really kind of pushed in the trailer. Mm-hmm. It actually was a lot more gritty and dark as a film.
Oh yeah.
Than the trailer, so it's quite strange. They probably did that to get bums on seats, right?
Well, it's like the standard parallel with Suicide Squad now. That Suicide Squad had 2 different trailers, and then you saw the movie, and you're like, what's going on?
You never talk about Suicide Squad in my presence.
Oh.
Never.
It looks like we'll be doing Suicide Squad just to annoy you.
Jesus Christ. And I went to see that in 4DX.
Oh, what a shame.
Yes.
Was that your first 4DX experience?
No, because in France we have this Futuroscope kind of park, but it's not for Disney kind of stuff. It's movie related. And so they have what they have in Universal Studios, like Shrek 4D.
Okay.
So I've been to that a few times before, and I was, as you say here, and I love that turn of phrase, not impressed.
Of course, France. We invented cinema. Let's have the theme park for it. Not bitter or anything.
This movie was just seen was based on a great graphic novel.
Yes.
2012, The Coldest City, and Charlize Theron. Well, Charlize. She was interested in the comic, so she contacted David Leitch, who's been directing John Wick before because she wanted that kind of touch. So that's how the project started. Yeah. And, well, something I won't do anymore is the comic before. Because I knew the twist, and I didn't know the counter twist and the mega twist and whatever, but... and also, she's not that badass in a graphic novel, not that I remember of. There's just one fight, one point, like she gives one kick, I think, and that's pretty much is it. So... They went loosely on the thingy.
I don't think the film would be as good without the choreography. The choreography for me is definitely the selling point of this movie.
Yes,
it's beautiful. It's lovely to watch because a lot of the time you are struggling to do anything.
And I checked; it's definitely not real long takes, but it feels like it, and the cuts are invisible, and it's just very nice. The stunt coordination is just incredible. I mean, the guy who directed this one. Was with his mate Chad Stahelski. They've been co-directing John Wick, which will be next review, by the way. But for some reason, the Directors Guild of America didn't accept the exception because apparently it's always just one director, and sometimes there are exceptions to you could have two, but they didn't accept, so it was just his colleague, Chad Stahelski, who was flagged as the director for John Wick, who ended up also directing the second one. Well, and David Leitch, who did this one, they had been working in stunts for like 20 years. David was the stuntman in The Hangover, Conan the Barbarian, X-Men Origins Wolverine. Was the second unit director in The Wolverine, Jurassic World, Civil War, Marvel.
I hate Jurassic World.
He produced John Wick in 1 and 2, and also did some acting.
He's not got a bad resume. That's quite good.
Yeah, and the guy who's doing his colleague doing John Wick 2 is about to do the Highlander franchise reboot. That is coming. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't found that many info on that, but it seems to be thematic development like Star Wars and similar to John Wick action, but with swords instead of guns.
Okay. No, I really admired the choreography in this movie. There's some great scenes. Talking about carrying on from last week's Victoria, which hopefully you all enjoyed and maybe watched. And if you did watch, because of us, we're very grateful because it was a good movie. The fact that was all one shot. There are some long shots in this.
Yeah, fake ones apparently.
Even the stairways. Is the stairway one fake too?
I think there's the 10-minute one, but which was re-stitches and stuff.
You could tell that some were restitched as well.
Yeah. Sometimes we would see someone flying in front of the camera. It was probably a cut.
Which is a shame, but in no means detracts from it because you feel
no,
the tension.
It doesn't.
You feel the tension, and it was fantastic.
And there was no music, so it was even more raw. In
my eyes, it was an homage to the Protector, which Jan mentioned last week, which has this amazing fight scene that you might have heard me like exclaim in excitement because that film is amazing. Where in that film, when the Protector, the protagonist, it's a 3-minute take where he fights his way up the stairs of a shopping mall, basically, to get to the bad guy. It's like any second last level of a fighting game where you fight your way to the boss and you feel epic and there's great music going on. In this one, Charlize Theron fights her way down the stairs, but is equally as epic. So good on you guys, because that scene that was fantastic.
Yeah, the one in the car, which you said is probably not a real one, but it reminded me of. I don't remember the full movie, but investigating long takes for last podcast, I've seen the Children of Men scene, and they are in a car at one point, and the same kind of stuff happens. So the camera turns around, and you see stuff behind and in front, and those weird people running around. So it reminded me of that. I really don't know if this one was a real one, but it felt like it was, and it was...
Regardless, I enjoyed it and it didn't take away anything. I wasn't noticing that it was... If it is faked, it's faked very well.
Well, they had money with all the
that helps, doesn't it?
With all the product placement happening and stuff.
I thought, Stolichnaya and
Jack
Daniels, they had a lot of alcohol. No, I also quite liked how she fought like the men. You know, she wasn't seen as any different, feminist is here.
You haven't tried to stab me with high heels, because I don't believe that for 1 second that you could.
But then people, but you can stab people with pens.
Yes, if you stab them in the throat. But I was just stabbing him. We'll try that afterwards and report our findings.
Tell you what, listeners. If you want to see Anouk hit Jan with a stiletto, comment on the podcast just saying "hitting," right? And we'll upload the video. It'll be 10 to 15 seconds, and Anouk will hit Jan with a shoe at a relative speed.
What we could do is I could stab a pillow.
They'll just stab me.
He is a pillow.
Fine. Yeah.
No, he's a pillow.
A good pillow.
I don't want to actually stab you. Can you imagine if it actually worked and I stabbed you?
No, I've seen a video online, so yeah, you can try.
You can try.
Yeah.
So, listeners, if you want to see us hospitalise Jan, comment hitting.
So, in terms of actors, I know that we were not extremely impressed with James McAvoy's work on this specific movie, because we love him, but...
And do you want to start? You felt more strongly on this one.
I wasn't... Maybe it's because I haven't seen him... Well, sorry, I have seen him do that type of character before. So maybe it's because it seemed a bit done before. It didn't excite me. I didn't feel anything. I thought that I don't know if this is because of the writing or the directing or whatever. Like, it might not have been Mcavoy's fault, but I felt like his character was very undeveloped almost. Like, it seemed a little bit like someone told him, just play Filth. You know? And I'll pay you $10 million. Can you just come for like 1 day? Mate, be a mate, please, and I'll give you $10 million for it. Do you know what? It just seemed a little bit tired, and it was like, I've seen you at your best, mate. Me and James go way back.
Well, he did study acting in this city in sunny Glasgow.
Yeah,
he's from here.
The Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. It was not called like that before, but
it was the
Scottish Academy of Music and Drama.
The Royal Academies, RSA.
Yes, that's where Peter Capaldi and David Tennant and
Ruby Wax as well studied there.
Really?
Yeah, Ruby Wax was a conservatoire.
Isn't she a socialite?
I don't know.
Sorry if you're listening.
No, Ruby Wax is a comedian.
Oh yeah, so I'm thinking about someone else. Kathy Lett.
Is that who you're thinking of?
Yeah.
Not Kathy Griffin.
Something. Anyway, I think her daughter went to school with me.
My first crush was Kathy Griffin.
Who is?
She's the ginger-haired presenter on Fox now. She did the whole thing with the Trump's head.
Oh God, really?
Do you know why she was my first crush? Because I used to be into the show, which if I ever...
Fox News?
No. If I ever get the money, right, I am single-handedly going to reboot The Mole, right?
Yes, you are.
I don't know if anyone's heard of The Mole, but The Mole was a Danish show that got put everywhere where... Like this movie, it's a game show. 13 people travel sort of around the world, and they're trying to collect money to win at the end. But one of them is a double agent, the Mole, who is out to sabotage them all. So the point of the game was, at the end of every episode, they took a quiz, and the player that got the lowest score about the Mole was eliminated. So it was it's amazing because you got connected and you liked the people in it. So, and she was on the celebrity special in Hawaii. She was on with. It was her, a young actor from a movie, Dinotopia, which I remember watching as a kid and loving, but I cannot remember his name for the life of me. And the other Baldwin brother, Steve Baldwin, not Alec. But she was on that, and I just fell in love with her somehow. So
it's like the Skarsgård and the Arquettes, and they are legion.
Absolutely. So if anyone's out there and wants to help me reboot The Mole, get in touch because I'm up for it. Totally up for it. Bring back The Mole.
What do you think about Sofia? 35 years old, French Algerian.
She's 35?
Yes.
She looks like she's 20.
Man alive. The things that woman, jeez.
Kingsman, yeah. It was
my boyfriend, everyone.
Do you know what I loved about
I'm kidding.
Do you know what I loved about this movie, Anouk? There was lots of scenes of Charlize Theron and her just wearing lingerie. You know?
There
was a lot of scenes like that. There were pointless scenes with Sharon just getting dressed and you just saw her like take her top off. She's there in a bralette.
So I'm probably gonna say this now, so I'm bisexual, right? Like I've like been in love with women, and so
as have I.
As has Adam, and everything is fine between us. No, but I only say that because I'm watching it and I didn't get. Am I shouting?
No, the table.
Oh, for God's sake!
For the listeners, I'll notice this. Anouk does bang the table a lot.
sorry,
so if we just hear Anouk go quiet, it's because we're telling her don't bang the table.
Fuck you. I'm sorry. I can't help it.
So go back. You're bisexual.
Yes, but I'm only saying that because I didn't get a little bit, but I didn't get turned on by the sex scenes, and I quite like that because I feel like quite a lot of lesbian scenes are there for the men. And I think what was nice about this one is that it was a complete power play between Charlize Theron and Sofia.
Delphine Lassalle, Sofia Boutella.
Boutella.
Yeah.
My
It was actually in the graphic novel a guy, Pierre Lassalle.
Oh,
Right.
it was a bloke in the movie. The graphic was a bloke.
So they made her a woman.
Wow.
And that's quite interesting.
Progressive.
I thought it was quite progressive because it wasn't. Oh, what am I trying to say?
Didn't feel out of place or...
No, and it didn't feel gratuitous. You're right.
Or
yes.
like just thrown in like Ghostbusters was.
Yeah, like let's get the men excited a little bit. You know, let's have a lesbian sex scene.
Do you know
Like,
what?
It didn't feel.
Do you
It
know
felt
what?
needed.
Yeah,
It
do
felt.
you know what? First one off, Anouk talking about lesbian scenes and didn't get turned on by them. My girlfriend there, everyone. My girlfriend getting turned on by lesbian scenes.
Yeah, let's have an explicit flag on that episode. Yeah.
I think we might need.
We
to.
might need to put the flag on this. This is NSFW. Not safe for work.
Well, we've also talked about how we're drinking while we're working, so that's probably not going to.
Somehow this episode's had a lot more energy since we started drinking. So maybe that should be the strategy from now on. We should just drink while doing this. No,
We're having milk in a wine glass.
I feel that the thing was that they made the conscious decision not to advertise that they had replaced a male with a female. And that was perfect, because you don't have to. Mm-hmm. I would never, if Jan had never told me that was a bloke, I wouldn't have cared and I wouldn't have noticed. And that's perfect. That's how it should be. You know?
This was the problem with the Ghostbusters. I'm banging the table again.
It's not the only problem with the Ghostbusters.
The Ghostbusters reboot. No, of course, but this was a problem because what they did was they said, let's take a very male film and make it feminine. And it didn't work because there's a massive problem with thinking that there are certain films and ways of acting and ways of doing, and acting, as in human beings acting, not the profession acting, that people think that, like the Ghostbusters film, just make it as women doing, and it takes a lot more skill than that to just take a film and make it feminine, because women are different. Like, no one can say that we're not. So I think it's so silly that loads of women are trying to be men, and that's what is probably hindering us most, because we're not men, we're fucking women, right?
Joss Whedon is good at portraying strong women. He started with Buffy. And
yeah, it's an excellent
nice
show.
work.
What was interesting though is that she was like 12 years old when she started, and she was like totally over-sexualized, like too young, but it wasn't... She wasn't
Buffy, not
Buffy.
Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Sarah Michelle.
I'm just Sarah Michelle Gellar. But it didn't feel like she was she was a child that was sexualized. You know, it's just she's a very pretty girl and she didn't wear much, and it was kind of okay. I feel like maybe in another series it would have been this kind of like, oh, look at me, I'm so sexy.
You never felt that she was a 12-year-old girl. I think that's the key point. That's why it was alright.
Because she was young, but because of what she had to do every night, she was an adult.
I'm pretty sure she
Wasn't she
12.
18? No, 17, I think.
She wasn't 12.
Yeah,
For sure she wasn't 12.
Sorry, I'm over-exaggerating.
For sure.
But, you know, she's got a baby face. She's like...
No, I understand what you're saying.
You know?
Yeah.
And, you know, this was the 90s. Like, women had, like, no figure at all.
To quickly pick up on the Ghostbusters thing, just one of the major reasons that the Ghostbusters female reboot failed, right? And it's not to do with, they're women, that's why it was boring. All the female actors in other projects are phenomenal, and they've done amazing roles.
Oh, Bridesmaids.
The
amazing.
problem with Ghostbusters was that they did not utilise the cast they had. Because Ghostbusters 1 is incredibly written. The jokes are funny and they're crafted, and the actors use them. Like, there's in comedy, I talked about this in the Fringe special podcast with our special guest that you'll be hearing very soon. That there are two types of people in comedy. There are those who can write jokes and there are those who could perform. And in Ghostbusters 1, the writer, which I want to say, not Aykroyd, it was, what's his name?
The first one?
The first one, the writer.
Harold Ramis?
Harold Ramis, that's it.
Okay.
He was the writer, and Bill Murray and the actors, even himself that's in it, are just performers, you know? One of them wrote the jokes, and all of them performed. In Ghostbusters, the reboot, the jokes aren't written. They just, it mainly feels like a big improv from Saturday Night Live. Every scene's like a Saturday Night Live sketch, you know?
Yeah, filmed in,
which is
90-minute SNL, yeah.
We will call...
Because it's the same problem. It's like we're trying to make women into men, and it's like that's not what empowering women is. Like, that's what we need to understand, and that's what I think this film did. It empowered women. It didn't empower the man in woman.
No, not at all.
Which is so silly, because it makes no sense to me. But I think it just also goes to show that the studios and the people behind all of these films and these ideas, the people that actually make, ideas happen, they have no direct link to the people on the ground. So they actually have no idea what's going on. And I think they don't understand what people want, because there's all this stuff going on and it doesn't really make sense.
It's the best way to do an empowering women movie, is to make a movie that's not about not to set out to make an empowering woman, but the way the actress holds herself and the character is that makes her empowering. Because this was the first time in a movie I was like, wow, this is a great step for women. You didn't even think about that. And only from thinking about other movies where they're like, oh, you could have a woman play that role. Watch Atomic Blonde and you can see that there's no reason why you can't write a movie for a woman. This was a prime example, as the script doesn't have to be like, she has to be pregnant, she has to be about a man. In this film, there's a brief relationship plot, but it's not really a relationship. It's mainly because she's kind of on her own in Berlin, It's not like, I need to be with her. There's never any drama about the two of them. There's never like a breakup scene or anything.
Right.
It's not about her getting pregnant. She's just out there doing her thing. She's doing her job. And that was so refreshing to see in a movie.
And when she does sort of fall in love, well, not really, but when she sort of uses and abuses someone in like a sexual loving way, it's to another woman. And I thought what was really interesting was Sofia Boutella's, I hope I'm saying that right, a character. I thought that she was like what women are usually in most films. Right?
Yeah, I agree.
This kind of cutesy, like, I'm a little bit out of my depth in my job. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Please help me, Mr. Man. And I'm all sexy and I don't wear much. And then we have a sex scene and I'm kind of thrown around in the sex scene. Like,
I think it was equal. I think they were both empowering and there was like moments of control.
Yes,
they
it was
were both,
on top and
they were on
not
top and
yeah.
swapping over.
well, yes, but I feel like she was shown as a bit pathetic.
I feel that
next to Charlize Theron.
I think that's true because we care about Sharon's character. We know her for longer, so we're always in with her in mind. And she is a powerful character, She's a very strong spy. She gives nothing away.
She's intimidating
That's
as well.
why she's empowering in that scene, because we're used to her being in control.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's not atomic at all or blonde at all in the graphic novel, but she is in the,
She is in
the
this.
movie. Yeah, it works. It's fine. Yeah.
And actually, I'm not saying anything against Sofia Boutella because I think that she's a very strong actress. And actually, Jan, weren't you saying that she was the only good thing in The Mummy?
Well, I loved The Mummy, which has a Tomatometer score of 16%.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I loved it, but I also loved the Gods of Egypt with.
Yeah,
which
we need
was-
to have a discussion about
this
film.
you always have to find. In The Mummy, there's this prison in Mercury, liquid mercury. It was a neat idea, and in Gods of Egypt, the fact that the gods were bigger than the humans, I thought it was. But I'm a sucker for Egyptian things.
So Jan's looking forward to the release of Assassin's Creed Origins.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, Jan, I've got an Xbox. I'll buy it. We can play it together. We'll do a live stream of Jan playing.
Yes.
game.
Let's play.
Let's play.
So yes, I wasn't hating on a character. I was
No,
just
not
saying that sometimes there were scenes where I was like, oh, well, that's usually what maybe Charlize Theron's character would be like if this film wasn't as progressive as it is. But what's nice is that you get that kind of contrast between someone who's kind of sexy, cute, uses sex as a weapon because, when that's the only weapon that a woman has in her arsenal, which is what she uses. But then she's kind of patted down by Charlize Theron, basically saying that, look, that's not going to work. Like, I know exactly who you are. And then begins to have sex with her. So actually, that was a very James Bond move.
I feel that
Hilariously enough.
Sofia's, is it Boutella?
Boutella, yeah.
Boutella's character could be what Charlize Theron's character was in the beginning. She openly says in the film that she just started this job. This is one of her first contracts.
She's only been in it for a year.
She's only been in it a year, so I feel that that's why she's more like weaker than Sharon, because she's been at it for it seems like a long time. Like, she seems to be one of the best in the business, So that's why I feel she's a bit weaker.
She's worked her way up, and she's seen a lot of shit. Like, she's definitely hardened, and I think definitely kudos to the color scheme.
Yes.
Yeah.
The colour scheme was insanely good. Like, I don't know what kind of exposure it was on the camera, or was it like a colour scheme?
I think it was done in afters. I think there was a lot of planning before to make the rooms look bright, and then a lot of playing around afterwards.
Right.
Because I've done a lot of that. For me and Anouk just recently shot a scene for showreel purposes. And the actual footage is very grey, and it'll be on the website at some point to just show the examples between colour scheme, and I'll put up the original and a side-by-side of what I put it as then.
Yeah.
Makes us more bright and vibrant. Like, Anouk's wearing a burgundy cardigan and I'm wearing a blue turtleneck, and I played around with the colours that make that pop because it contrasts. And that's why I think that this film was a lot in editing the colour. But I agree with their choices, because there isn't a scene, again, a bit like Baby Driver. When Baby Driver we talked about there isn't a scene that we don't like looking at because we enjoy the story. In this one, there isn't a scene that looks visually boring. Your eyes are always engaged. Even if you're confused where the story's going, which happens, the first 30 minutes of this film are a bit like, what's going on? You've got to give this a chance because it gets good. It does. It grows on you because you get into it.
And then you do also realise why they did certain scenes in the beginning and did it that way.
Yeah, it makes sense by the end, yeah.
It's one of those films that you kind of have to stick with. So, yeah, if you're impatient, like, just stick it out.
This isn't a one for putting on while you're doing your ironing. You have to sit down to watch this one, I think.
Yeah, it's a lot nicer to actually watch it.
One of the things that's reminded me of is Sharon's room is one of the best looking rooms I've ever seen. It's like pink neon effects with a lot of light blue kicking about. And the reason I mention this is I wanted to go back on a point that we talked about at the beginning with the Palace of Tears and the historical context of the Cold War. Because in her room is news footage of Berlin at the time, which is nice of them to try and put a bit more in and give you context, but it doesn't play out in the film because you never feel the tension. But again, that's because we're focused on the story, and the film is very focused on the journey of the film, So we don't have to focus on the background. But I do feel that's lost. It's a nice touch, and it's nice to put it in. It's just it doesn't really give you context for the historical background.
I think you are sort of given like a timer, though, because I think John Goodman's character talks about how when the wall falls, there might be a bit of an issue. Like, let's hope that we're not under it. So I kind of took that as every time that the TV was on and they were saying, like, oh, the wall's about to fall and stuff. It was kind of one of those moments where it was like, oh gosh, when is the list going to be leaked? And that surely means death to anyone, like to her especially. So that's kind of how I took it. But what I quite liked about the film is that she could actually have died, if that makes sense. Like, you did feel like she might actually... It was that type of film that they might actually kill her off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you did actually fear for anyone's life in that film. Like, it could be you next.
Definitely. In terms of the color scheme, it felt a bit like they had a poster, with the atomic and then the neon blonde. And they were inspired by that for all their color scheme, and
Yes.
that's a thing they learn at the Raindance. So when you don't have any idea, just make the best poster you can with sex and stuff, and,
Okay.
and then try to sell that poster, the poster to I've got this amazing movie, and then you write something around what's on the poster.
If you want an
That's a good
example of that in filmmaking terms, to annoy Jan again, the team that made the funny Suicide Squad trailer, which is the one that was more popular,
Yes.
was then hired to edit the movie.
Yes.
So
the trailer company.
A team that specialise in making trailers, which give away all the plot in the trailer to get you to go and sit on the seat and pay your money, were then hired to edit the full movie.
Yeah.
If that doesn't scream
Amateur moment.
interfering studio, I don't know what does. I don't know what does, listener. I do
It's
not know.
just amateur as well. Like, Suicide Squad was a different level of absolute bullshit.
I reckon if Suicide Squad had the team that did this movie, Suicide Squad could have been good. You not think?
Mm-hmm.
I think if it was a different team, I think if this team had a go at Suicide Squad or Suicide Squad 2, it might be alright, because this film was well made. I enjoyed this film.
Maybe if they didn't have Jared Leto.
I don't think they will for the next one.
Oh, they have in the next Denis Villeneuve movie, Blade Runner 2.
Oh yeah, he's in that,
something.
playing in less
Oh, I
crazy
thought that
Joker.
was Casey Affleck.
No, that's Jared Leto.
Oh, they look the same. No, they really don't. I'm sorry. I apologise for that one. But I thought it was Casey Affleck. But no, Jared Leto was terrible as the Joker and should never have been cast. It was bad.
We'll cover that one day.
Sorry, yes, of course.
Yes.
Colour scheme was good. Soundtrack was killer.
I loved the soundtrack.
The soundtrack was amazing.
Yes.
Really. I want to buy it like now.
Bit of Depeche Mode, Iran.
Mm-hmm.
Third time I've seen Iran in a movie in a while. First was La La Land,
Yes, that was a good scene though.
and then I can't remember the next one that brought it back, and then here again.
Yeah, it was very good, and it kept you up.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, actually, I feel like if the set, is it called set design? No.
Sound design.
Well, no, sound design, but also like the color scheme and maybe DOP and director, if they weren't kind of keeping tabs on the sound design, the color, the exposure of the camera and all this stuff, like the scenes in themselves, like mostly weren't great.
I think that I don't know, maybe we'll find out at a later point and we'll do an editorial, but I think that must have been done in the edit. They put the footage together and went, right, what can we put on this? Because I know Baby Driver, for example, Edgar Wright wrote the scenes with music. You know, he knew what music he was going to use. I don't think that's the case in this movie, because that's very hard to do. But it's one of the things they tell you not to do as a writer. Don't write music to the scene, because you can never know if you're going to get the song or not.
Yes.
Because that's the one thing the studio doesn't want to buy.
Right.
You can buy explosions and car chases all you like, but as soon as you want a specific song, studio's like, maybe get another one that's cheaper. So,
Yeah, Suicide Squad again.
Royalties.
All the money in the music. Suicide Squad.
that's because you know, I don't know if anyone here watches South Park.
I watched some episodes, but not the full thing.
So there's an episode in South Park called "The Simpsons Did It First," where Butters, as Professor Chaos, wants to like destroy the town because he's mad. But every plan he comes up with has been done by the Simpsons, and his friend tells him, like, "The Simpsons did that first," and he's like, hey, like that, like the whole way through. And the thing with the Suicide soundtrack was, it's like, yeah, but Guardians of the Galaxy did it and it worked. Guardians of the Galaxy did that first. Oh, they got a big band of superheroes. Yeah, but Guardians of the Galaxy did that first. They got the team together. Guardians of the Galaxy did that first. Shut up about Guardians of the Galaxy's okay. I want to make my DC movie. I'm going to cry in a corner and hire Jared Leto, okay? I want him in the movie.
So did this movie remind you of another one besides John Wick?
It does, but it'll come back to me. Anouk, do you want to say anything this one reminded you of?
A French film, actually. If anyone has seen Umbrellas of Cherbourg.
Oui, Les Parapluies de Cherbourg.
Les Parapluies de Cherbourg. Not because it's level, because that film is genius and it is like one of my childhood favourite films. But because they kind of did the color scheme thing and the everything that everyone wore was like matched, and it was so kind of carefully monitored, all these little, like, the visual was beautiful. Les Parapluies maybe a little bit more colourful, but there's definitely thing. And I think maybe just the darkness of it, like, it's just such a sad movie that kind of reminded me of that. It's a very strange 2 films that I've put together.
We mentioned this in the introduction when we talked about James McAvoy, which we kind of left behind because it's not a lot to say about James in this film. This film reminded me of Filth. The style that it's edited at reminded me a lot of the cuts in Filth. For example, there's a scene at the start of Filth where James McAvoy's character is narrating about Scotland, and he walks past some fat people eating like pies and stuff, right? And you've got the bagpipes playing this really good music, and that's what reminded me of, like, the soundtrack and the visuals matched. So that's where my link comes from. I would say Filth with the film this reminded me of, and it made me want to go, I want to watch Filth.
I want to watch Filth again.
It didn't remind me of anything, actually, but yeah, I need to see Filth, because I've purchased the Blu-ray like 2 months ago because my uncle, the same that has tinnitus, who said that is the best performance he's seen in his life. James McAvoy on this one, so I got the Blu-ray at the time, but I still need to.
We'll watch that.
Check it out.
Yeah,
check it out.
And it's also James McAvoy's favorite. He says that. He says so in interviews and stuff.
He's unbelievably good in it.
Irvine Welsh is just a fantastic writer. I mean, I'm currently reading the final Trainspotting novel, Porno, and it's just fantastic. I've never read any of them. I'd only seen the films, and I've just fallen in love with those pieces of literature.
And I'm listening to Adam reading it over his shoulder because I can't read the Scottish.
Anouk trying to read either Begbie scenes or Spud scenes.
Ah, you wee bastard!
Jan should definitely sight read that. We'll do that
as a bonus.
As a bonus Sunday. Jan will read the first chapter of Trainspotting from Spud, right? Because Spud sections he always uses the word likesy, right? I was walking in the back likesy and I saw this bird that likesy all that, and I was saying to myself, I'll maybe get a hit on her a wee bit, but I didn't really care what to do. So I went, hey, what you up to today? So it's basically like that the whole way through. And Begbies are just, even I struggle to read it.
It's tough.
It's tough, but excellent. It's excellently written. And a little fun fact for your listeners that the original Trainspotting was nominated for a Booker Prize, but was subsequently denied and disqualified for shortlisting because it offended 2 of the judges' sensibilities.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So, if that's not worth reading, it's worth reading. Or at least seeing the film. They're very different, but they're both worth indulging in.
That's thick Scottish, that's lovely. It could be worse, could be those Aberdeen thing like Doric.
Doric.
Yeah.
Oh, like if it's a dialect, that's different.
Oh, yeah, roll behind your sheep up there, eh?
Yeah, so our friend Emma, shout out Emma Finley.
Unless she doesn't want to be on my name.
And she will.
Yeah, she'll back on.
But so she's from Aberdeen, and
Cullen.
She
famous for fashion.
Like, she'll be speaking to her mum, and everything will be exactly the same, accent and words, and then she'll slowly start using words that no one has ever heard of. Like, she said, what's it, quine?
Quine and queen.
Quine.
Queen is girl and quine is male. I believe. I could be wrong though.
No, yeah, quine is a man.
Fijikame is what you want.
Fijikame? No, Fijikame is, what did you call me?
Fijikame.
Fijikame?
I'm not up to date with me, Doric. And neither's a listener.
I think it's quite something because I added the Doric line in my script, so that's yeah.
Dear.
So, yes, anyway.
So I feel that we've come to a wraps with this. But I want to bring back a feature we did in the test that we haven't done yet, which is called Would You Do It? So I'm going to ask my fellow podcastees about our role. Would we play that part of it off the script?
Charlize Theron?
Well, obviously you, I would say, for casting wise, you would want to play Sharon. But I reckon you could play the French operative as well.
Right, because I could pretend to be French.
Oh.
French Algerian.
You also have, because you can play Mediterranean.
I could be like Middle Eastern, yeah.
Yes, that's why I would say her.
Even though I'm not really sure if the Middle East got involved in the Cold War.
But if you're from, you could play an Algerian, a French Algerian.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so. When you say Jan, Anouk could pass for a French Algerian?
I guess so, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'd have to work on the accent.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
But,
so you would take...
but both of those female roles, definitely. I think you'd be silly as a woman these days to surpass two roles that are so good for us feminists.
And Jan...
Oh, I'd love to be the guy with the keys stuck in his cheeks.
That was so stupid. I'm sorry, that was so stupid.
Oh, we didn't even talk about that scene.
All three of us laughed. Like, why have you not taken the keys out your face?
Charlize Theron's character stabs a man in the face with a set of keys, and he doesn't remove them till the end of the fight.
Yeah, he keeps them in, and they're jangling in his cheek. It's just...
It is a bit ridiculous.
Reality of doing, man.
But also, Jan...
Exactly.
Because Jan is the only one here that's done a fight scene.
Yeah, I was about to touch on that, yes. Those fight scenes were not full choreographed. They had some cuts, but still they did it like... It felt like it was full, which was not what we did on our Game of Death 5.
Game of Death.
Yeah, God 5 scenes. We had the whole choreography in our head. We did it a few times in rehearsal, but it was always, when it came time to film it, just bits. Like to capture more the nitty-gritty face and more than the actual full thingy. But yeah, that was it was impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, all three of... Actually, Jan is a very good fighter. I think he had the best film
Jan had
out of everyone.
Jan had a good...
Yeah, Jan
too.
is amazing.
Jan had a very good one.
Jan kind of stole the course. Like, Mark kind of talks about how he stole Troika, but I think he stole the course.
As soon as Jan learnt to get out of the corner and be Jan,
yeah, it was like, oh.
He became the man known as Jan the man.
Jan the man.
Yes.
But, I mean, all three of us have our unarmed and armed...
We're all qualified and certified by...
British Academy of Stage and Street Combat
something. Yeah. We're all qualified in rapier and dagger and unarmed combat.
And
yeah, that's cool.
At the moment, if you're listening to this in 2019, we are not qualified. We'd have to reset the test.
But we probably have, because we're, above the line.
Yeah, because it's good fun. It's worth to have.
But anyway, so we understand how difficult it actually is to choreograph an unarmed scene. It's tough, and then also to put acting on top of that, that's even more tough, because then you have to learn your reactions. Yeah. So massive kudos to all of those actors, because they did such a good job, and actually those scenes were pretty
the stunt
good.
Team in this. The stunt team was very good in this too.
Dedicated. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen 2003 Peter Pan with Jason Isaacs as
Yes.
Jason Isaacs had a background in stage combat, but with his right hand or left hand, I don't remember, he had to learn everything the whole way around for the film.
Because
it was the southpaw, or it was not the correct. Because of the hook. Yeah.
So he couldn't use one side of it. That is horrible.
Dedication.
I mean, for a film, like, you wouldn't you, as an actor?
Anything else we want to cover? That was that feature. I liked that feature. That was good.
I'd like to clarify a rating, right? Good, bad, and just plain standard. We talked a bit about that on the Edinburgh Fringe special, but probably you won't listen to this one, so I'll explain again in this one. For me, those are gut feelings that I get thanks to the acting studying we've been doing last year and the way movies are made, which also means that sometimes I really enjoy bad movies. Only recently, my only compass was how much I loved the acting, and only started watching movies without French dubbing like 25 years ago, which means that I'm always learning new things from any movie anyway, however bad they may be in my eyes or anyone's eyes. So, yeah, it's coming from the heart.
It's an amalgamation of things that work. We definitely weigh up what works and what doesn't work. I think to qualify as a bad movie, we have to it's not necessarily that nothing works. It's just that either they try too hard, it's one thing, and it drops the ball in other aspects, or there's just has no ambition. You know, like it fails at what it tries to do, or it's offensively bad. For example, if we ever review Human Centipedes 3, right? 3 is a train wreck. 3 is just not a film, and it's barely qualifying. Whereas people would think it's the subject theme. It's like, no, it's just cashing in on what it was and trying to offend people. That was Tom Six's thing. He's like, I want to offend people with 2 and 3. Whereas the first one was it could have been something.
Did you really watch those?
I watched. I've seen all 3.
I've only watched the Human Centipede, which
yeah.
is the South Park episode.
The
Human
first
Centipede.
Maybe we'll do an off one of the first Centipede film because it's okay. I mean,
my dad really likes that film, and it really freaks me out.
Human Centipede 1 is not terrible. I mean, it's
alright.
It's quite good. The thing is, if Human Centipede 1 was the only one that existed, I think it would be better. It's like the legacy of the other 2 made them bad. That's what makes a bad movie. If it's not made for the movie's sake, you know, it's something else entirely.
Yeah.
Whereas standard can be good or bad in a way, because a standard movie is something you're like, it tried, but it didn't do well. It didn't live a direction. Why was it made? It's just, you know, a standard movie when you see a standard movie.
Yeah. I mean, you want to leave halfway through, usually.
And sometimes you do.
Sometimes you do, yes.
So I'll just add schedule a bit, because we're adjusting our thing right now, but at the absolute least, it would be like 2 episodes a month.
Yes.
And we'll have them, we'll try as the best possible to have them in pairs, like a recent release, released either in a few months that came before the podcast, the episode, or the same year, followed, or depending on the rotation, by an older release, any period of time. Really.
They might change ways around if we can once we get up to speed.
Yes, and we'll have guests also, so that we'll mess up.
As well. Hopefully that we can do the recent episodes while that film is still out in cinemas, so you can go and see it after a recommendation.
Yeah, guys, like if anyone is ever interested in hearing us like have a discussion about a certain film, like comment or do that email or whatever, like we're totally up for talking to anyone around the world. I mean, someone listened from India
to Baby Driver.
To Baby, so I mean, this
if
is
you're
literally
listening,
around the
thanks a
world.
lot. Get in contact.
Thank you very much.
We'll give you a shout
Definitely. Shout out
We'll have a
to
shout
all these people.
every week. We'll have a shout out to the city furthest away from where we are, or the one that surprised us the most.
Hyderabad.
Hyderabad. Shout out. So
I'd just like to add 2 updates on previous movies.
I'll go for it.
Yeah, Baby Driver. Well, first of all, I'd like to talk about my own personal tinnitus story.
Oh.
Because I thought I had superpowers for years. You know, hearing like, I can hear dogs. You know, because that's when to afraid dogs. That's what you get the whistle, right? And I discovered what tinnitus was, and then I was disappointed because I had no powers. So yeah, Baby Driver. There's this woman, Georgia Durante, who is mad as hell over the story because she just wrote a book. She was the wife of a mobster when she was younger. She used to be driving like Baby Driver style.
Oh wow!
And then she ended up being a stunt driver in Hollywood, and she's not really happy with the Baby Driver story.
Oh dear.
I also would like to add that the on-demand version of Baby Driver is getting out in September, and the physical in October with cool bonuses like the coffee run rehearsal.
Ooh.
Yes.
That's worth picking up for that.
Soundtrack stuff and choreography segments and stuff.
That's excellent. And actually, any Edgar Wright film is worth buying for the director's commentary, because Edgar Wright talking about his films is one of the best commentaries I've ever heard. Is either him and Simon Pegg talking about Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, that was insane. If you ever get to...
We should do Shaun of the Dead in Halloween month, maybe.
Yeah.
Swap it out for something. I might swap out Alien.
I'd quite like to do Halloween as well. I love
We
Halloween.
might do a couple in October if we get time and release them week to week, maybe even 2 a week if you're lucky, listeners. Get an extra treat this Halloween.
Oh God!
You've all been good. No, that's Christmas. And maybe on Hot Fuzz, he has a commentary with Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's insane.
And they don't talk about the film. They this trade trivia about films. It's one of the best things I've ever listened to.
That sounds
It kind of puts our
amazing.
podcast to shame, like how good it is.
Oh, nice. Well, I have a Victoria update now. You know, I talked about Bushwick,
Yes.
one-take movie.
Oh, yeah.
That's a modern-day imagining of a U.S. Civil War. That's with Dave Bautista.
Ooh,
One
the
of
wrestler.
his recent, serious movies. Because
He used to
he
be a
was the-
wrestler.
Yeah.
He's in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Yes.
Drax, the
he's,
Destroyer.
Drax.
He
He's
was
adorable.
he was the villain in the recent James Bond film Spectre.
Oh, okay.
He was in that. That movie's a bit weird.
God, he's doing well for
Should we
himself.
do a James Bond retrospective one day?
Oof.
Retrospective is hard. Just like a TV series. We were talking about that earlier.
Oh, yes. How do you...
It's...
Well, we do.
retrospective, like one...
We would do each one.
Oh,
we
yeah.
do a James Bond episode.
Cool. Yeah.
I'd
maybe,
like to do that.
Maybe we'll have a James Bond year, and every month we'll bring out 2 James Bond films.
Yes. So
We'll
many
see.
ideas,
We'll
guys.
see.
So many ideas.
Daniel Craig just signed up for the new one.
I saw.
He
Yeah.
agreed. Yeah.
For years, he's been talking about how I'd never, ever, ever want to do this
better
over
slash
again.
my wrists and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh,
if-
come on. We'll give you £30 million. All right.
I mean, if it puts your kid through college, absolutely do it. Because I mean, yeah.
yeah, but I'm sure he can...
I'm sure he can
put
do that
us
already.
Into
but,
the,
you know.
the best private schools already.
His wife wants a kitchen or something.
Yeah, true. New kitchen.
I'd want a
It's
kitchen.
slightly sexist, Adam.
Okay, maybe to be fair, I'd want a new kitchen. I love fucking cooking. I love cooking. It's great.
I know, I was being annoying.
And another one shot I forgot. Time Code, which is 90 minutes, one take, but it's like surveillance cameras. So
Ooh.
the screen is divided in 4.
Oh, that's cool.
And
That's
it's
really
4
cool.
times the thingy. And
That's
it was
great.
directed by Mike Figgis, who is a Raindance patron. Like Christopher Nolan, who studied there, Guy Ritchie, all Raindance peeps. Dyer, by the way, I will put in the link the 25 frequently asked questions from Elliot Grove.
Oh, that's good.
Guys
That's
that
good,
you
like-
didn't know last time.
Yes.
Oh, I
Very
feel
nice
so bad
stuff in
for
there.
that.
And then it's also relevant because I'm going to the Raindance Festival for 2 weeks next month.
That's what I was about to say. I was about to segue into that.
And we'll have a special episode a bit later in the year. That's where Isolani is releasing with bits of Milk in a Wine Glass members in there.
Oh, go check that out.
Absolutely.
That's got some good actors that studied with us. It's got really good director who
His friends
helped us
with
out a
Jan.
lot, and his friend,
with
best
Jan,
friends with Jan.
Our best friend.
His friend of Paul Wilson.
Paul Wilson, yeah, very, very
Shout out.
incredible. Yeah, it was his
Really
childhood
nice.
dream to make movies. And,
Really nice man. Really nice man.
Oh, yeah, lovely.
So, Anouk, Jan, was Atomic Blonde good, bad, or just plain standard? Jan?
I would say it's good, but keeping in mind that I should not have read the graphic novel, which wasted the whole thing for me. So, for the incredible stunt coordination and the colors, and yeah, it's good.
Anouk?
I would say good too, but I think it's in the lower level of good. Like, you can't put this next to Baby Driver. So
Yeah,
I
that's
think we
right.
should have increments of
So
good,
it's
bad,
not,
and standard.
It's not Baby Driver or Victoria Good. It's
No.
good, though.
No,
But
no.
it's, yes, I actually enjoyed it as a film.
And for Anouk to say a Hollywoodized movie is good, you know it's worth seeing.
You look at me. You look at me with your Hollywood eyes.
Hollywoodized. For me, yeah, it's a good movie. I had really bad feelings going in. I expected it to be rubbish, and that was really poor of me. Because I'd recently, the movie I'd seen before that was Hitman's Bodyguard, which was terrible. I walked out half an hour and 20 in. Maybe one day, I'll watch it all and we can review it on this podcast. And I also thought, because we'd seen trailers for it for months, that they were just sinking money to hope people would see it. But you know what? For its colour scheme, its strong female character, its engaging story once you get involved in the story, I would say this is a pretty good recommend. Good. It's not Baby Driver amazing or Victoria amazing, but I would say it's a recommend. If you were going to sit down and watch a Hollywood movie, I would watch this. I put it in the same category as I love the new Planet of the Apes movies. I think they're really clever and they're really well done. I put this at the same level. This is an intelligent Hollywood movie. It doesn't take the audience as like stupid that just want to sit there and eat popcorn. It asks you to pay attention. And in the end, if you do pay attention, you'll get some enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, you ask questions, don't you, at the end?
You do.
I love the word.
And actually, I feel that in a couple of weeks' time, we will release a 15-minute segment of this podcast talking about the end of the movie. Because I'm very aware that if we spoiled the end of this movie, that it would ruin it for everyone and it wouldn't be enjoyable for you. So we will talk about the end of this movie at a later date, if people want to hear it.
Yeah, spoilers section.
A spoiler section. Yeah. I think we'll do that from now on if it ruins the movie. We'll update the podcast in 2 weeks, and it will be after the end section here. So after the recommends, you can skip to. We'll put it in the link. There'll be a skip to for spoilers, and we'll update each podcast in a couple of weeks after people have had the time to see them. For the recents, anything that was in the past, we will talk about spoilers if it dignifies. But hopefully, we wouldn't have to talk about spoilers because we don't have to rely on the plot so much, and we can talk about other aspects.
Right, I mean, if it's good, it can talk for himself.
Exactly.
I would also quite like to add, if you do have time, go see Yerma, because it's incredible, and we just came back to see it, and I just thought I should add that.
Yeah, but it was on National Theatre Live. It was just a one-off event, and now it's at the Young Vic, but I don't know if they're still at the Young Vic.
I think until the 9th of September, but I might have read that wrong, but if you can, check it out for sure, because it's amazing.
Stage design.
It will come back. It will come back.
It's insane.
If listeners are interested for a theatre version of The Good, the Bad, and the Just Plain Standard, let us know, because we'd happily talk about theatre, and any excuse for us to go and see some more theatre would be enjoyable.
Oh, definitely.
Obviously, for theatre, it's a bit more difficult, because we have to see what's around, but we would maybe do it monthly. We'd do a theatre review, which would be quite nice, I think, to do one piece of theatre each month if possible.
Yeah, I could bring some fringe stuff because I interviewed quite a lot of people, and
That's
I
true.
only talked about not that many during the.
Jan will
Fringe.
be releasing I would almost want to call it a feature film, the amount of footage that I've seen for it.
Yeah.
Of his experience at the Fringe. So we will release that through the Milk in a Wine Glass website, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Because it's very good, and Jan's a very passionate man. He spent a whole month at the Fringe. Which is the other plug. We have we recorded 2 podcasts today. It's the first time ever. Where we had a guest on from ACS, Alistair. Mm-hmm. He's the year after us. We went to Acting Coach Scotland, and he's the next year. Where we talked about the Fringe experience, about flyering, about shows we'd seen, about his show, and about the importance of actors understanding reviews, which I think was a really good, important section of that. So if there's any actors listening, I would definitely recommend that episode, which will be out this month.
Or any performers who get reviewed, to be fair.
Should be out before this episode. Yeah.
Good. So you've listened to it. if you skipped over that one because you weren't interested in the Fringe, and that's what it's about. So it's worth a listen to. Maybe this will be a snippet. And we could put this bit out of me saying, guys, go and listen to this podcast. But you never know. But yeah. I feel that brings us solely to the end of the Cold War. Our wall has come crumbling down. David Hasselhoff has just smashed us down. For people that don't know, David Hasselhoff was there to knock down the Berlin Wall. If there was a historical event in the world that was more important, I'm glad it was presented by the Hoff.
Oh, what a gem he is.
So, thanks for listening. This has been Adam.
Anouk.
And Jan.
And this has been episode 3 of The Good, the Bad, and the Just Plain Standard. Jan, what's next on the schedule?
Next on the schedule, I don't know if we agreed on that, but let's just go with the...
John Wick?
Atomic Blonde. So next, John Wick. Yeah, and we will kickstart the Halloween month with It.
Yes, coming out at the end of September.
Followed by Nosferatu, 1922. Alien or Shaun of the Dead. We'll have to...
Fuck it, we'll do both.
Yes, do it.
Then, because it's movies that... we selected those movies like the ones that were important to us. So Anouk chose Nosferatu. And
I chose Alien.
And I chose Evil Dead 3.
Which I have not seen, so I look forward to watching that.
Oh. and Jigsaw at the end of October.
Because I was a mad Saw fan when I was growing up as a teenager, and I'm excited and equally worried to see what they've done with it.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a reboot, but also the 8th movie in the franchise. So it's a bastard kind of.
We'll talk about in a Halloween. We'll have a section in Halloween where I talk about Saw. We'll do that at the beginning of the Jigsaw episode because I have a lot to say about that franchise.
Awesome.
We will be doing a Saw franchise series next year at Halloween because I am just so hyped and so disappointed in some of those Saw movies.
Okay. Well, thank you again for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you, listeners. Thank you for getting us nearly over 100. But actually, by the time you listen to this, Baby Driver might be at over 100. So thank you.
Amazing.
From the bottom of our hearts, because honestly, we thought maybe 10 people were going to listen. But honestly, we were putting this out because we wanted to talk about film, and to hear that people are actually listening is really heartwarming. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you so much.
Merci. Bye-bye.
Bye.